Good morning everyone, I am Alchin B. Sumagila and my topic is all about the growth performance of broiler chicken, Gallus domesticus, feed commercial ration supplemented with varying levels of Azula or Azula piñata meal. It was published on June 17, 2015. Source, Ed Baguio Lagua. Introduction. The chicken is the most exploited species of poultry, which is utilized for food production in the whole world. Scientific researches has been done on the species for past centuries and it is still the focus of the present and the future experimentation. In the Philippines, chicken ranks first, while ducks rank second in economic importance as sources of meat and eggs. The chicken broiler and egg production are the most progressive in the Philippines today. So the poultry industry is in fact begun as a backyard enterprise but has shifted to the formation of very large integrated contract farming operations. Animals needs adequate amounts of all the necessary nutrients in order for them to stay healthy and productive, and basically these required nutrients varies in the quantity depending on its species, age, productive state, environment condition, and lastly to its disease status. Aviagen 2009 stated that successful broiler production depends upon supplying the birds with feed of the highest achievable quality. In terms of ingredients used, processing procedures applied, and finally the form in which the feed is presented to the birds. Objectives of the study. The general objective of the study was to determine and evaluate the growth performance of the broiler chicken feed commercial ration supplemented with varying levels of azola meal. Specifically, the study aimed to first, determine the average initial and average final weight of broiler chicken. Second, determine the average weight gain and average daily gain. 3. Determine the average feed consumption and feed efficiency. 4. Determine the average Azula meal consumption. And 5. Return above feed and supplementation cost. Time and place of the study. The study was conducted at Laguas Residence, Purok 16 Musuan, Maramag, Bukidnon. It was started on January 3, 2013 and ended on January 24, 2013. Materials and methods. Facilities and equipment. Poultry facilities and essential equipment such as chicken poultry house, waterers, feeding troughs, 50 watts incandescent bulbs, pail, stick broom, clean empty sacks, old newspapers, record book, and electronic weighing scale was used during the study. Experimental animals. A total of 60 heads of 14-day-old broiler chicks, regardless of sex, were used in the study. There were 4 treatments replicated 3 times with 5 words in each replication. Experimental design and treatment. The study was laid to simple completely randomized design or CRD during the study. The birds were randomly distributed into 4 treatments, replicated 3 times with 5 words each replication. The different treatments were as follows. Treatment 1 is 100% commercial feeds plus 0% Azula meal. Treatment 2, 97% commercial feeds plus 3% Azula meal. Treatment 3, 94% commercial feeds plus 6% Azula meal. And treatment 4 is 91% commercial feeds plus 9% Azula meal. Preparation of Azula meal. Fresh Azula was collected at Pangantukan, Bukidnon, and other was propagated and harvested at Musuan, Maramag, Bukidnon. It was washed prior to dyeing to eliminate contaminants that can affect the quality of the feed. The drying of the Azula was through the plant, drying alone until the Azula is crispy enough to meal. The dried Azula was coarsely ground to assure that the treatment would be eaten by the birds. Chicken prefers coarse feeds than fine feeds. The Azula meal was then mixed to commercial feeds. The level of Azula meal mixed with commercial ration depends on the treatment assigned. Care and management of the experimental birds. About 1 week before the arrival of chicks, All facilities and equipment, including the area, were cleaned and disinfected to eliminate the disease-causing organisms. The day-old chicks were brooded up to 14 days. Bulbs were turned on during day and night to keep them warm and encourage eating. The cages were closed during night to minimize heat loss from the cage. Old newspapers were used as beddings during brooding to avoid damage of feet and legs of the chicks and as insulator. Waterers were washed before they were used. Sacks were used to cover the sides of the cages to avoid the entry of other animals that would scatter the manure. The manure was removed every day during brooding and every 7 days until termination. Rice hulls were spread on the dung. Proper sanitation and management were observed during the entire duration of the study. Data gathered. The data gathered were the average initial weight, average final weight, average body weight gain, average daily weight gain, average total feed consumption, average feed efficiency, average Azula meal consumption, and return above feed and supplementation cost. Data gathered were derived using the following formula. Initial weight is equals to a weight of the experimental animals at the start of the period. Final weight is equals to weight of the experimental animals at the end of the feeding period of 35 days. Then body weight, final weight minus initial weight. Then sa Azola meal consumption is equals to feed intake times percent of Azola meal. Statistical analysis. All data gathered were organized, tabulated, and analyzed statistically using ANOVA in a simple, completely randomized design, or the CRD. The Duncan's multiple range test, or DMRT, was used to compare any significant treatment means. Cost. Results and conclusion. Results of the study showed non-significant differences among treatment means in average initial weight and in average feed consumption. However, the highest average initial weight was observed in treatment 2 with 326.00 grams compared to treatment 1 with 324.33 grams. Treatment 3, 320.00 grams, and treatment 4, 308.33 grams. So treatment 4 had the lowest average final weight with 1,154.33 grams and the poorest feed converter with 2.07. From the above result, the author concluded that supplementation of Azula meal and the ration of broiler chicken up to 6% showed no negative effect on the growth performance of the broiler chicken and is highly recommended. Excessive usage of Azula meal beyond the recommended level would have negative effect on the growth performance of the chicken due to high fiber content. Azula meal is a cheap source of quality protein feedstuff and it may increase the profit by decreasing the cost of feeds. However, further study with the same objectives is recommended to find out the consistency of the study with other poultry species. So that's all. Thank you.